the thing that I want to start with this morning is a tune-up thing. Basically, what I want you to do is to close your eyes. That's where the lids go down. And some of you have trouble with that, I know, but you'll learn. But now, what I want you to do is I want you to go inside, and I want you to stop, and I want you to pick something that you are extremely motivated to do each time you do it. That as soon as you think about whatever the particular activity is, that one of the things you find is that you are readily motivated. Okay? Now, what I want you to do is to take that particular phenomenon. I want you to examine, whether there are images, where are the images, how big the images are, how close, and what kind of sound is there. Now, this may require, if some of you can go way back to the ancient days of strategies, that you run through it more than one time. Because one of the things we're going to begin with here is to dissect some of the aspects that have to do with motivation. Now, in particular, for those of you who have as one of the steps in your strategy that you have images and you step inside them, I want you to pay particular attention to what angle you enter from. Now, one of the things that I want you to do is to go through it, run through it, and find till you get to the feeling of being motivated to do whatever the phenomenon is. Then I want you to go back to the beginning, and I want you to begin to slow it down. So whatever the strategy is, that you literally yourself take a deep breath and begin to slow it down. Now, what we want to do at this point in time is to begin to examine for yourself by stopping for a moment and going and finding something which you do get motivated to do, but it isn't easy. It's one of those things where you have to compel yourself. But once you get going, once you get into the activity, you do fine, but getting a jump start is hard. Now, I want you then to run through that particular one. Again, notice things about where the location of the images are, the size, the clarity, the focus, and particularly the direction of sound, how close the sound is. If it appears to be coming from the left, does it appear to be coming from 3 feet, 2 feet, 2 inches, or almost already be inside your head? If it comes from the back or the front, and whether images and sounds and feelings start at what azimuth, that being directly at eye level, straight across, being 0 azimuth, and those things above being plus 10, plus 20, 45, and going down the same way. Because the direction of sounds and the directions of images themselves becomes extremely vital in the kinds of things as we're doing, or at least the things we're going to start with. Now, as you run through the thing that's a little bit harder to get jump-started, it may in fact be the same strategy, or it may be one which is only similar. Now, what I want to do is to now roll back to the one that actually motivates you and run through to the moment, the point at which you actually begin to get motivated, where the jump start, so to speak, occurs. Because there'll be a point in the strategy that we used to call in the old days a kicker. That is, where you get from the point of warming up to the point where actually the feeling engages, where you begin to get fired up. And I want you to take whatever images are there and whatever sounds are there and whatever feelings, and what I want you to do is to begin to blow them up so that they begin to become more dynamic. Now, one of the things I've noticed is some people's idea of a large internal images is something that's 3 inches by 3 inches. And what I've discovered is that when these people ask me questions, with their idea of being dynamic, is somewhere between a yawn, and a burp, as far as I'm concerned. The thing is I want you to begin now to start by taking the internal images you have and push them back away from you a little bit. And as you push them back, I want you to have them get bigger. And I'm talking really bigger. We're talking 30 to 40 feet high and 30 to 40 feet wide with a curved screen. Now, as soon as you hit that height and that dimensionality, I want you to freeze your screen. I want it to curve all the way around to the edges of your peripheral vision. And if you want to get creative, go 360, all the way around. And when you blow it out, I want you to hold the screen as a clear glass frame and then take everything that's behind it and put it in 3 dimensions. Vivid, so that it is actually behind, like you're looking through a window and seeing it outside the window. And add 3-dimensionality to it. Make the colors more vivid. Now I want you to do the same thing with sound, with whatever sound is connected to it. Again, I want you to push the sound away, but as it gets away, I want it to become fuller, louder. And again, at a certain distance, I want you to just hold that distance steady of wherever the origin of sound is. And I want you to build for you a thing where the sound comes from all directions around you. 360 degrees up and down. So sounds are coming from above you, below you, behind you, from the side of you. And again, give it full, rich timbre. Now, for some of you who may not have, in your strategy, had much sound, throw an orchestra around you. A full tilt, big orchestra. Not a string quartet, but the full regalia. Maybe a choir of black singers will help. Now, as you begin to build this kind of a 3-dimensional representation, both in sounds, I want you to do the same thing. But I want you to test the magnitude of your feelings by taking the image and the sound, what we might call a sensorium that surrounds you. And what I want you to do is take it and turn it 15 degrees to the right while you remain steady, and then turn it 15 degrees back, just so that you can feel that it's there. If it has no kinesthetic effect, you are doing this wrong. Then I want you to take the whole thing and tilt it 15 degrees to an angle forward and pull it 15 degrees back up straight. And if that don't jolt your kinesthetics, you are doing this wrong. Go back to the beginning and rebuild it. Now, this is going to become the essential tool, because as you begin to magnify these internal things, it should begin to light your fire in terms of the point of a jump start. Now, taking this kind of a representation, what I want you to do is to rotate back to the beginning of the strategy and run through it with this kind of a representation to the point of the jump start and beyond. Is it different that way? Now, what I want you to do is, as soon as you get to that point, what I want you to do is to stop, and I want you to take your timeline and I want you to magnify out into the future. Look out into the future of the next 4 days, and I want you to see yourself in the kind of representation I just built. Don't go back to some dinky little 2-dimensional fart-ass internal representation. Keep the big picture, so to speak, and go into the future during the next 4 days and see yourself going to do exercises and going to talk to people in this state. And find yourself being motivated to do so. Because we got a lot of things we can do, and some of them are going to be complicated, some of them are going to be easy, but they'll all be fun if you can build into yourself a couple of things, and that's what we're going to start with. Now, whenever dealing with strategies, especially motivation strategies, one of the things that's important is to use your own motivation to be able to dig through these things. For a long time, people have talked about strategy installation. If you are going to bother to install strategies, install big ones. You know, because when you let people do this on their own, they build dinky little pictures and have squeaky little voices. You know, they don't bother to put rich, full voices. If they have an internal voice that says, go do this, it doesn't say, go do this. It goes, well, would you go do this? This isn't the kind of stuff we want. We want it to be rich and full. Now, you can go ahead and reorient back here, but hold the feeling, constant. Now, as your eyes open, I want you to hold the feeling, and I want you to pay attention to where it's located. And I want you to stop for a minute and think, when I began to get motivated, where did the feeling begin? Where's the first location that I noticed it? And then the second location, and the third location, and the fourth location. In other words, did you start with a feeling in your stomach? Maybe it broadened out to your chest, and then maybe some tingling in your fingers. Then maybe your feet felt like they were claws and wanted to run. Now, what I want you to do is, as you notice those locations, then I want you to stop in your mind, stay on the outside with your eyes and ears, and then just pay attention to those locations in that order, and cycle around about 5 times. While you pay attention on the outside with your other senses. That's like having your eyes open. And seeing. Just internally, just take your kinesthetics and cycle through the locations, each time amplifying the feeling a little more while keeping your eyes and ears clear. You don't have to say anything to yourself. You don't have to make any pictures. Just do it with a kinesthetic lead and stay on the outside so you can notice things and breathe and blink. All at the same time. The breathe part counts, by the way. That's where you go. Hey, how's it going?
When are we going to do something?
Now, what we're going to talk about is impatience. Well, what we're going to do is we're going to do this in security. One of my favorite ambiguities from Milton.